In Teixcalaan, these things are ceaseless, star charts and disembarkments. Here is all of Teixcalaanly space, spread out in holograph above the strategy table on the warship Ascension's Red Harvest. 5 jump gates and 2 weeks sublight travel away from Teixcalaan's city-planet capital, about to turn around and come home. The holograph is a cartographer's version of Serenity. All these glitter-pricked lights are planetary systems, and all of them are ours. This scene, some captains staring out at the holograph recreation of Empire, past the demarcated edge of the world. Pick a border. Pick a spoke of that great wheel that is Teixcalaan's vision of itself, and find it repeated. 100 such captains, 100 such holographs. And each and every one of those captains has led troops down into a new system, carrying all the poison gifts she can muster. Trade agreements and poetry, taxes and the promise of protection, black-muzzled energy weapons, and the sweeping architecture of a new governor's palace built around the open, many-rayed heart of a sun temple. Each and every one of those captains will do it again. Render one more system into a brilliantine dot on a star chart holograph. Here is the grand sweep of civilization's paw, stretched against the black between the stars, a comfort to every ship's captain when she looks out into the void and hopes not to see anything looking back. Here, in star charts, the division of the universe into empire and otherwise, into the world and not the world. Ascension's Red Harvest and her captain have one last stop before they begin their trip back to the center of their universe. In Parsra-Wantlok sector lies Lecelle Station, one fragile, turning jewel, a toroid 20 miles in diameter, rotating around a central spoke, hanging in the balance point between a handy sun and its nearest useful planet. The largest of a string of mining stations that make up this small region of space, a region touched by the reaching hand of Teixcalaan, but not yet subject to the weight of it. The shuttle spits itself from the station's spoke, travels a few hours' distance to the waiting gold and gray metallic hulk of the warship, deposits its cargo, one human woman, some luggage, some instructions, and comes back again unharmed. By the time it has returned, Ascension's Red Harvest has begun ponderously to move on a vector toward the center of Teixcalaan, still subject to sublight physics. It will be visible from Lecelle for a day and a half yet, shrinking slowly to a pinpoint of brightness, and then winking out. Daj Taratz, the Lecelle counselor for the miners, watches that retreating shape, the vast slumbering menace of it, hanging like a weight and eating up half the horizons visible from the viewport of the Lecelle Council meeting room. That omnipresent blotting out of familiar stars is to him just the latest evidence of Teixcalaanly hunger for stationer space. There may soon come a day when such a ship does not retreat, but turns the bright fire of its energy weapons on the fragile metal shell that contains 30,000 lives, Taratz's included, and spills them all into the killing chill of space, like seeds from a smashed fruit. There is, Taratz believes, a kind of inevitability to empire unchecked. No star chart holograph glows above the strategy table around which the Lecelle Council sits at meetings. Only a bare metal surface, polished by a multitude of elbows. Taratz contemplates again the simplicity of how that retreating ship still feels like such a present threat, and stops looking out the viewport, retaking his seat. Empire unchecked might be inevitable, but Daj Taratz has within him a quiet, determined, and conniving optimism that unchecked is not the only option available, and has not been for some time. "Well, that's done with," says Aknal Amnarbat, the counselor for Heritage. "She's off, our new ambassador to the Empire, as requested by said Empire, which I sincerely hope she keeps far away from us." Daj Taratz knows better. He's the man who sent the last ambassador from Lascelles to Teixcalaan 20 years ago, when he was still middle-aged and enamored with high-risk projects. There is nothing done with about sending a new ambassador, even if she's already been packed off in a shuttle, irretrievable. He puts his elbows on that table, as he's been doing for all of those 20 years, and rests his narrow chin in his narrower palms.
"It would have been better," he says, "if we could have sent her with an Emigo that wasn't 15 years out of date. For her sake and ours,